Mr. James Molina, the Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Shadow Minister for Education, Mr. David Southwick, State Member for Caulfield and Parliamentary Secretary for Police and Emergency Services, Rabbi Shaul Engel, Mr. Graham Leonard, the Chair of the Victorian Multicultural Commission, Mr. David Marlow of the JCCV, and Ms. Jennifer Huffert, Vice President, JCCV. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to welcome you here tonight to Chabad of Melbourne, CBD's 16th Hanukkah lighting in the city of Melbourne and the 8th in the Melbourne Parliament House. Chabad of Melbourne was established in 1998 to offer spirituality and religious support to the Jewish constituents and people working in the Melbourne city and outer areas. We created a venue where to conduct weekly lectures, programs, business lunches, and high-powered meetings. Regular lunch and learns, attracting array of local and international guests, speakers from overseas, opportunities for people to connect with their heritage in Melbourne's great city. After our first official function, which was in 1998, we had a Purim resounding success. I was appointed to be the rabbi of Melbourne CBD by Rabbi Groner, and the annual events consisted and spear forward following from the Purim at the Melbourne Town Hall to matzah distribution, the Sukkah in the Melbourne City Square, and Hanukkah at Parliament House. Additionally, we provide regular home visits, assist with installation of mezuzahs, koshering kitchens, and as well as assisting with those visiting Victoria. At a recent luncheon in the Melbourne City at the Sukkah, the Lord Mayor commented how lucky we are to live in a multicultural society, that there is more than 200 people who speak over 200 they speak over 200 languages of all denominations, living with tolerance, where everyone can coexist and work together for the greater good. Tonight, we are celebrating Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, which is all about greater good. The holiday is about good overcoming evil and giving us all hope and inspiration to carry out. Rabbi Engel will shortly elaborate on the festival. For 16 years, the organization has been going from strength to strength, reaching out to business people, young professionals, and this year has no doubt been another very successful one, and we hope to have many more and newer activities in the coming new year. I'd like to thank our sponsors this evening, Gross Waddell, Fitzroy's, Community Pharmacy, and a few that remain anonymous. Happy Hanukkah, Chag Sameach to all. I now call upon Rabbi Shaul Engel, Chabad Director of Bayside.
Happy Hanukkah. Thank you very much, Rabbi Herzog. I just heard that I'm going to elaborate, so I guess I'm going to be here for a long time. But I'll try to make it short. There is no such thing as coincidence. That is the message of Hanukkah. And we come here tonight, the sixth night of Hanukkah, in the Parliament House of the state of Victoria, to light the Hanukkah candles, to spread the message of this beautiful festival with ourselves, our families, the state and the world. What is this message? As some of you may know, probably more than me, a lot goes on in this house. Mr. Southwick was asking me if I have a dreidel. I said, in a place like this, you don't need a dreidel to spin. We come here tonight because of a very powerful and important message that only Hanukkah gives us, And whether or not you're a member of parliament, whether you even know what politics is about, or you have a party that you belong to or vote for, Hanukkah tells us something both members of parliament should know, us as individuals, as ambassadors of goodness and of light in this world need to know, and hopefully will take from here. You're all familiar with the story of Hanukkah. Some 2,100 years ago, a very small group, probably smaller than the one right here in this room, banded together to fight oppression, to fight immorality, despite the numbers that were against them, despite the might that was up against them, and all the odds. They were called the Maccabees. They fought for one reason and with one weapon: their faith to do what's right. To do what's right according to what God tells us and to what morality tells us. And with that weapon alone, they went out with no vision of even winning or seeing how it's going to happen, and they fought the mightiest empire on earth at that time, and they were victorious. The miracle led on to a small jug of oil burning much more than it should have, and so on. When we light the candles, it's a small, tiny flame. It's a little spark. Tonight we're going to do 6 of them. That little spark, what is the chance that that can stand up to mighty warriors, to great forces that are out there that threaten its existence, that say there is no such thing as goodness and definitely not enduring? If you stand up for what's right, if you want to be honest, if you want to be a loyal, good citizen of this world, to change it, to make it a better place than it is, you're dreaming. That is what the world tells us, internationally, and some forces within this country as well. We group together on Hanukkah. And what do? We don't fight it. We simply take out a candle and we light one small flame, one small spark. And we tell ourselves and remind ourselves, as small as it may be, it has the power, as light, as candles do, to be able to pierce through the thickest and greatest darkness that exists out there. Because regardless of how big that darkness is, it cannot stand up to the power of light. The power of light can be small in quantity, but it overrides because it breaks right through. It dispels the entire darkness that exists. And so, standing in a parliament house where people are elected to represent the city, the state at large, hopefully for what's right. And many of them, as you can probably testify, many times you're up against forces that are impenetrable. How are you going to get through them? They're much more powerful than you. The odds are all against you. It's a lot easier to join forces with the so-called bad guys, with what you know is not the most perfect thing, what you know is not right, but it's more convenient. Hanukkah tells us that it makes no difference. The numbers that you have, the odds that are with you or against you, if you are here to bring light, to bring the flame of Hanukkah light into the world, you will be successful. You will be victorious. It simply is a matter of light which banishes darkness. And so in a few moments we're going to light the candles. Here in Parliament House, here in this room, it's going to light for a few moments. Pictures will be taken and so on. But the message that you take from here tonight, the message that we pass on to the state government and through them to all people who represent larger amounts of people, we pass on the message and we take the strength that we walk the walk of that which was begun by the Maccabees, a small group, a weak group, but one who stood strong and steadfast for what is right and for what ultimately will lead to the ultimate victory, when light will be victorious in totality over darkness the world over. May that happen speedily immediately in our time. Have a very happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, Rabbi Engel. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon Mr. David Southwick, the member for Caulfield, and the recently appointed the State Police Services Secretary. Thank you. Mr. David Southwick.
Thank you, Chaim. To Chaim Herzog and to Rabbi Engel, to Rabbonim that are here tonight, to my parliamentary colleagues, Deputy Opposition Leader James Molino, to Don Nadella and to Colleen Hartland that have joined us here tonight, to all of you that are visiting the Parliament for the first time particularly, and I'd like to start by asking for a show of hands. Who's here for the first time? It's probably half the room. Well, welcome, and hopefully it's not the last time that you're here. This is your building, this is your place, this is the People's Parliament. To Graham Leonard, one of our multicultural commissioners, which has a very, very important role of spreading the good word of multiculturalism throughout our state, to David Marlowe and to Jennifer Huppert, representing our peak bodies. Welcome to what is a great festival in our Jewish calendar, and that is the Festival of Hanukkah. And we know that during this particular period, it is a time for all of us to celebrate, to spend time with our families, and to most importantly, reflect on the struggles and the periods of the Jewish people over the many centuries. Hanukkah is very much a story that talks about the miracles. It talks about those miracles of that oil that lasted the period, which was only meant to be that one day that went for the 7 days. It talks about the fact that the adversity where people couldn't practice their religion, had to shy from their religion, but hid and practiced and taught one another, and most importantly taught their children to continue on to breathe life in that religion that has lasted and flourished over the centuries. And what I wanted to say tonight is we as a Jewish community, particularly in Melbourne and in Victoria, can be very proud of how we have been able to live and celebrate our religion here in this great state. We have a history that is very much bipartisan. Doesn't matter what political party you come from, that we are all very much a government and political representatives that celebrate multiculturalism, and that not only celebrate but encourage us to have the sorts of events that we're having tonight in our Parliament. And over the last 12 months, we have had the opportunity to celebrate many festivals here, particularly our Jewish festivals, ranging from Yom Ha'atzmaut. For the first time in many years, we actually had an exhibition celebrating Israel's Independence Day around this very room, celebrating the successes of Israel around this room, not just for the Jewish community to see, but for everybody to see when they came to visit the Parliament. The children that would come here and visit the Parliament were exposed to the great, great efforts and history of our Jewish state. We have also had the opportunity to celebrate the Jewish New Year, and together, in our bipartisan way in the Parliamentary Friends of Israel, break bread and celebrate the Jewish New Year just upstairs in our Parliament. And these things are something that we as a Parliament are very proud. Only a few months back, we had the opportunity to also sign the London Declaration, a declaration combating anti-Semitism, to say very much that we will not tolerate anti-Semitism of any form here in this state. And it was great that we were able to get people from both sides of the chamber, again, to sign that declaration, standing up for, again, and combating any forms of anti-Semitism. We have also had, in the last few years, certainly in this parliamentary term, over 20 members of Parliament visit Israel, from the Liberal Party and from the Labor Party visit Israel. And this is a fantastic effort to think just a significant amount of people have been to Israel and had the opportunity to see firsthand our great state. So I wanted to say to all of you tonight that this particular parliament has a huge history. It has a huge history dating back many, many years, and in fact, for those that have visited the first time may not be aware, but it was the first federal parliament dating back in 1901. For 21 years, 11 prime ministers actually sat in this particular parliament. So it was a federal parliament, a state parliament, a federal parliament, now a state parliament. So it has lots of heritage, lots of years, and many, many times, probably a few tense moments, as Rabbi Engel mentioned a bit earlier. But probably the best times in this particular parliament is we all come together like we have tonight. And we all celebrate the greatness of our multiculturalism and celebrate great festivals like we do, that is Hanukkah, that we're celebrating tonight. This event has been going for many years in this parliament, and I hope that this event would continue on for many years in this parliament, because it is very, very important for us to be celebrating Hanukkah and other festivities, and again, just telling everybody out there, because we certainly are the state, that the light of the Hanukkah not only shines bright during Hanukkah, but the light also shines bright on multiculturalism in this great state in Victoria. On behalf of the Premier of Victoria, who unfortunately could not be with us tonight, but I know he is thinking of all of us, and he's a great friend of the Jewish community in Israel, who also sends his best to all of you. May you all have a happy Hanukkah, a peaceful Hanukkah, the opportunity to celebrate with your family and have a restful period over the summer break, and may we all have a peaceful and happy many years ahead. Hanukkah Sameach.
Thank you, Mr. Southwick. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Mr. James Merlino.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good evening, everyone, and happy Hanukkah. To my colleague, David Southwick, it's an honour in a bipartisan way to share this stage on this happy occasion. To Colleen Hartland and Don Nardella, to David and Graham and Jennifer, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honour to be here. David mentioned the delegations, the bipartisan delegations. There was a Liberal Party delegation last year to Israel and a Labor Party delegation this year. I'm here representing Daniel Andrews, the leader of the opposition and the Labor Party. Daniel is either in an aeroplane on his way to Israel, or he's already landed and he'll be spending the week in Israel. Thank you for this opportunity to be here with you to celebrate this eternal story of faith over doubt. When I was part of the Labor delegation in April visiting Israel, I was met with the evidence of that faith all across the country. This was a visit that struck me right here, and it's a trip I'll never forget, and I look forward to the day I return to Israel. I've got a big photo of Jerusalem in my family room, so I look at it every day, reminding me of that trip. It's a faith in its people that I was struck with, a faith in its institutions, in its fables, in its histories and its triumphs. It's like an unrelenting trust in something greater than our individual selves. As the Rabbi mentioned, a powerful loyalty to what is right and to what is fair. That's what we remember when family and friends light these candles during this festival. And it's a message that applies to all cultures. A miracle can happen here if we will it. It's that spirit that protected the Jewish people through centuries of oppression and displacement. And it's that spirit that will preserve them forever. Over 2,000 years ago, on the altar of the Second Temple, a flask of oil burnt for 8 days. And in a sense, that flask is still burning in the modern state of Israel. That miracle endures. This festival teaches us all to honour the sacrifices of our forefathers. It teaches us to maintain our own faith. It teaches us that a dream can live on for millennia. Enjoy this festival with your families and friends, and thank you very much for having me here tonight. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you, Mr. Molino. At this point, we will head to the proceedings of the lighting of the menorah, and this evening, as well as we'll have entertainment by Chazan Braun and cocktails shortly afterwards. Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivonu lahadlik ner Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim laviseinu bayamim hahem bizman hazeh.
Neiron halalu anu madlikim, Neiron halalu anu madlikim, Ala nisim ve'ala niflos ve'ala teshuos ve'ala milchamos she'osis olav oseinu she'osis olav oseinu bayamim hahem bayamim hahem bayamim hahem hazman hazeh. Please join us. Ma'otzu Yeshuasi lechana nishabeach tikon bestefilasi leshamtayda nezabeach ye'etachim matbeach mitzvara beach azegmon b'shir mizmor Hanukat HaMizbeach azegmon b'shir mizmor Hanukat HaMizbeach. Yevonim, Yevonim, nikbetzu alai, azai b'mei chashmonim, ufatzu chaymas nigdalai, v'timot balashmanim, umin azakatanim, nasan es hashishanim, b'nei lina, b'nei shmaina, agushir u'renadim, b'nei lina, b'nei shmaina, agushir u'renadim. bim bam 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 bam, shilly bim, shilly bam, shilly bim bam 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 bam, shilly bim 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 bam bam, shilly bim 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 bam, shilly bim bam 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 bam. Lomme singen jedele Chazeimer zusammen, an Nikolai Freilache mit Weltalach aus Brammen. Die Mame kocht a Lotschen so mit Kasche und mit Neidlach, und der Jantav Chanukah, wir spielen sich mit der Dreidlach. Chiribim, chiribam, chiribim bam 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 bam, chiribim, chiribam, chiribim bam 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 bam, chiribim bim 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 bam bam bam, chiribim bim 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 bam, chiribim bam 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 bam. Sing our beautiful melody, Yibaneh HaMikdash, expressing our wish that Beit HaMikdash will rebuild speedily in our days. Yibaneh HaMikdash, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Tzion Temale, Tzion Temale, Tzion Temale, L'Sham Nashir, L'Sham Nashir, Shir Chadash, Shir Chadash, Omer Nanale, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Tzion Temale, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Tzion Temale, L'Sham Nashir, Shir Chadash, Nanale, L'Sham Nashir, Shir Chadash, Nanale, Tzion Temale. Yibaneh, Yibaneh, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Yibaneh, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Yitzion Temale, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Yitzion Temale, Yitzion Temale. Yibaneh HaMikdash, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Yitzion Temale, Yitzion Temale, Yitzion Temale, L'Sham Nashir, L'Sham Nashir, L'Sham Nashir, Shir Chadash, Omer Nanale, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Tzion Temale, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Tzion Temale, L'Sham Nashir, Shir Chadash, Nanale, L'Sham Nashir, Shir Chadash, Nanale, Tzion Temale, Yiratzion, Yiratzion,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chazon Ron. Everybody is now invited to proceed to the cocktails and refreshments. Happy Hanukkah to all. There'll be some more chazonos throughout, so please stay around. Chag Sameach. Thank you for joining.